not the leader of a cult. RabbitWithAxe.
So with everything going on currently when it comes to, right of ownership and licenses and all the conversations around physical gaming, I ended up picking Cruis'n Blast up. And one particular reason caused me to do this. First off, yes, it is a download in a box. There was no physical edition. This is the closest to a physical release we have for this game. But this game was recently delisted. Presumably due to the fact that there is some licensing issues relating to the actual vehicle models and makes. But this game is not actually available for sale if you can't find a code in box. And this is exactly the problem that we're facing with PlayStation and potentially Xbox as well, getting rid of physical gaming entirely. Because, right now you can still buy this game for retail, or actually I got this for £8, I believe, from Smith's Toy Superstore. So these are relatively affordable right now. However, this is a game that is decently well, reviewed. People like it in general. It's part of the Cruis'n series, which is a semi-niche Nintendo franchise, which is why it is Nintendo Switch exclusive. And as of right now, it's only getting rarer, because every time someone opens a case, this is obviously a sealed copy right now, everyone that opens one of these is going to be using up finite stock. Eventually, we won't have any copies of this game, and sure enough, eventually we'll be able to emulate it, or maybe even right now you can emulate it. I don't actually know the state of Nintendo Switch emulation right now, but yeah, as of right now, recording, the only way you can get these is to buy a physical copy like this and redeem the download code. So, yeah, I picked up a copy, and I am going to play it, so I'm going to have to grab a knife, I think. But yeah, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to redeem the code, and I'm going to play the game, and that's going to be the end of this copy. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we are in a situation where games like this are going to become more and more common. Games that just kind of disappear. Oh boy. Sorry about the awful crinkly noises. But yeah, if I open this up, I have a little game card for Cruis'n Blast. And yeah, once this is redeemed, in all its glory and all its 16 characters, or whatever it is for a Switch game, once that's redeemed, it's over. That is now done. And it is unfortunate that this could never be sold on. This could never be given to someone else. I could never lend it to someone, give someone else the experience. And while technically, through the digital game card system, you're able to let other people share your games temporarily, it's not an ideal situation. And I think most people understand that. But yeah, it's so much more blatant when it is a game like this that, isn't available anymore. It's really unfortunate to see stuff like that. And it's worth mentioning that, Cruis'n Blast, Cruis'n as a series, is pretty niche. Not that many people are going to care if this just disappears. But we see games all the time where this exact situation happens. Case in point, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This was a limited release. And it's not available on the eShop. You can still play it, and obviously there was a time where you could get digital copies as well. This is a physical, well, the cartridge is in my my Switch game case, but yeah, this game in its entirety is not available. And sure, Super Mario 64, at least a version of, is available on Switch Online. I believe Sunshine is also available with NSO's expansion pack, and then Super Mario Galaxy, along with Super Mario Galaxy 2, which isn't included in this pack, was released and has a physical edition. So there are ways of playing these games, but just like with Cruis'n Blast, you can't actually purchase this specific version of these games. Unless you want to, buy a second-hand copy, which fortunately do exist for them. There are physical copies, so you can just go on eBay or wherever else and buy a physical copy, pre-owned, and that's fine. I'm sure there's some sealed copies going around as well. I'm sure it exists. But yeah, games like this, which are far more mainstream, far more, standard, everyone knows these games sort of releases, can disappear, at least virtually. And, once they stop being sold, I'd say this was a limited physical release, once they stop being sold, you can't get them officially. And, yeah. Pre-owned aside, because, The real issue is when you can't get them pre-owned. But yeah, it's a really unfortunate situation to be in right now with the gaming industry, that we are moving faster and faster towards just having fully, digital gaming. And, right now the PS3 and the PS Vita stores are going to be closing. I do plan on doing some videos on those in the near future. But this one just kind of stuck out to me because it is technically a first-party Nintendo franchise. It's not actually developed by them. I think it is still licensed by... It just says Game Mill and Raw, so I'm not actually sure. But it is originally a Nintendo arcade franchise, so it is something that people should care about. And yet, it's just kind of fallen by the wayside. People are not going to care about this in a year's time, and then maybe in a decade, someone will be like, "Ooh, I'd love to play Cruis'n Blast." And even if, say, the Switch 1 store is still available, the eShop is still available, they won't be able to buy it because it doesn't exist anymore because the licensing or whatever else took it away from us. And they'll go online, and whatever physical copies do exist, code box copies do exist still, will, at that point, be pretty expensive because that's the only way you can get it. It's really unfortunate to see stuff like this happen, and honestly, between games like this and games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, I just really hope that we don't see the loss of history, essentially. Because at the end of the day, 3D All-Stars had no reason to be limited. And Cruis'n Blast, surely, any sort of licensing contracts for the elements of the game should have been discussed to be indefinite, right? Licensing shouldn't remove things from games, because that also brings up questions around a lot of larger experiences, a lot of these live service games. How long is it going to take until Fortnite or Call of Duty or Marvel Rivals or something just randomly have a thing where, oh, we're not allowed to use this specific character or this design or this whatever because their licensing ran out? How long until that actually happens? Fortnite is a great example because it has cars just like Cruis'n Blast. What happens if Fortnite run out of licensing for a Nissan vehicle or something? Do they just remove it from people without a refund? It's hard to say how this stuff really works, and obviously I don't work directly in the industry, I don't know for sure, but yeah, when it comes to stuff like this, it just worries me that the future of gaming is not only that we don't own anything, but also neither does the publisher, the developer, anything like that, because it's all tied up in random licensing and random little things that they need to have approved or need to pay for or whatever else just to keep things going. And yeah, that's what kills games like this, unfortunately. But with that being said, that is really all I wanted to go on about. I just wanted to kind of chat about Cruis'n Blast specifically and just the potential future of gaming that it represents. But there are so many other examples of games like this, and unfortunately it's just something we have to live with. So yeah, a little bit of a downer video, I'm sorry about that, but I thought it was still important to talk about, and keeping these conversations alive, especially we're a week since PlayStation's announcement, as of recording this at least, and yeah, we need to keep the conversation alive, because if not, companies won't know that, hey, we actually want some form of physical media that we can keep a hold of, because this is not ideal. The fact that as soon as I've, redeemed that code after this video, it's over. This copy is no longer useful to anyone. It's just going to sit on my shelf because that's what it's worth. It's really unfortunate. And we can at least hope that we're going to have more stuff like this. I'd much rather have limited physical releases than no physical release at all. And when it comes to digital exclusives, it gets to a point where I would like to have literally any other format other than just code in box or no, physical presence at all. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video for what it's worth. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe and ring a bell so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, comment below your thoughts and feelings on basically anything that we've discussed in this video. And I'll also link at the end of this video to the PlayStation digital games fiasco. So if you are interested in checking that out, I'll have that linked. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Look at the screen, you'll be fine. Culture's a disease, but worlds divide. I just want